this afternoon with another episode of Total CEO. How you doing, everybody? Take a deep breath, smile. We're going to have an action-packed, guaranteed, little nutty, fun time with my dear friend, Rome Za. Rome, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Vinny, for having me.
All right, cool. Hey, listen, everybody who's watching, this guy is a machine. He has a business called Awaken. It's Awake the Warrior Within. It's a retreat where you go down to Costa Rica. I'm going to let him tell a little more about that. Rome, before we get into how you almost killed me and some other things, I want just introduce yourself. What are you up to so people know who the heck I'm talking
to? Hey, guys. My name is Rome Za. I live in Costa Rica by way of New York City. We run basically, I help people get rid of stress, unwanted stress, and tap into their true potential by any means necessary.
Love it.
Whether it's using NLP, whether it's using breath work, whether it's using some sort of ancestral meditation methods, or...
All right, so stop right there.
Yeah.
So before we get going on a bunch of stuff, we'll have it. Remember, it's live, so we'll have it in the comments down there while we're talking. But if someone was like having ADD, kind of like me, and wanted to look at this while we're there listening to us, where would they go?
They go to romeza.com.
Cool.
But I don't have that much information there. They would just go on my Facebook.
All right, but romeza.com can get them and connect them to all that stuff. All right,
yeah.
Cool. Maybe you should talk to my team about getting a little bit bigger presence. That's okay. Cool. So Awaken, you can find that at romeza.com. We can at least connect with you.
Yeah, they can.
All right, so the really cool part of this thing, I think, is why I'm hearing massive results about it, is that you are really getting people to break away and do this in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So that's killer. Right now, Talk to me about a couple things. What do you notice from your, I guess we'll call them students, because what are you noticing is the biggest? Give me like the top one or two biggest lifts someone's getting out of like going to the retreat.
They learn, basically, they rewire their mind to start moving towards self-mastery and self-discipline as means of attaining whatever it is that they want, as opposed to chasing that thing that they want and always feeling that frustration while chasing it.
I was listening to, I wasn't listening. What was I doing? I must have been watching while I was reading. I was listening to this, I guess I was listening because I wasn't watching them. I was listening to this psychologist talk about fear. And fear is, you know that my faith is important to me, and I'll talk about it all the time, right? And that his premise was that you will not find fear in the Bible in the way that we as humans should not have fear. The only fear we have is like a right alignment with God, our all authority, right? What was interesting was the second comment he made, and that was that the smarter you go up the knowledge track, the more likely you are susceptible to fear. And so here we are. My show's all about CEOs. That's supposed to be some pretty smart guys who like to take risk. So I would imagine that the equivalent factor of fear, I always tell Deb, I was a way better marketer and businessman when we were broke. And now that we've climbed up the ladder, I don't know, I think some of this fear stuff is real. How do you deal with that?
Fear?
Because remember, this Awaken stuff is about, we've got a bunch of demons, stuff we're chasing. It's not all about, we've got it all figured out. We're all on mission. A lot of it's I wonder how long until people figure out I'm a fraud. Where's that, all these things that are, we might use other words, but it's all tagged in this thing, unwanted, this fear item. How do you deal with it? How do you deal with that?
Well, I help people build rituals around their life. I believe fear starts to dissipate when we start to get aligned with what it is that we want. And I like to do it through ritual as a constant reminder of what it is that the main thing, keeping the main thing, and why it is that you're doing that thing. So we build rituals around that practice. As soon as you wake up, you do these specific things before bed.
So give our crew a good example of one of those rituals.
Perfect. So as soon as I wake up, for example, I'll go through a set of auto suggestions or affirmations before I even open my eyes. So I am expanding into abundance. I'm expanding into vibrant health. I am expanding into inner peace as I inspire every day, as I inspire others to do the same. And just like I repeat it a few times in my head, boom, I pop up, I brush my teeth, and then I go into like a lot of my physical rituals. So I practice a lot of like qigong, which is like and whatever. It helps to get the chi flowing in the body, and it works on in many different levels. It works on different types of stressors, like relationship stressors, financial stressors, love, sex, whatever, chemical stressors.
So do CEOs do like the out of shape, old gray hair losers like me, like who have a zillion kids and are chasing a million stresses and have a large staff and all this stuff? Like, I love the affirmations. Great. I keep starting and stopping on yoga. In case you don't know, everyone who's watching, this guy's like a jujitsu like ninja. He almost killed me. It's jujitsu, right?
Yeah, Brazilian
right.
jiu-jitsu.
So the first time I meet this guy, I'm like, oh, he's like the size of my like 14-year-old, right? And I'm like, yeah, like how I hear you're really good at what you do. Before I even finished my sentence, he was in the air, overtopped me, had me in a chokehold. I straight up thought I was gonna die. I was able to give a little tap, and that was like our introduction to each other. And so great story, love that. Almost died thanks to you. We've been friends ever since. And so you're intense. Now, I think to be a risk-taking entrepreneur who's successful, we have to have our own passion and intensity. So everyone brings their own like spiritual dimension to this part of it. So how do we talk? One of the things I would do is feed people. If we feed them now, they're awaken, we'll fill that with all the right guys who resonate with you. Like, what do we do to help that CEO who literally feels like they're getting out of the car? And, because let me ramble a little more. I had a guest on our show recently who said he focuses on knowing exactly who his customer is. Because if he knows who his customer is, he won't waste time on the one who isn't. And I started thinking like, holy cow, how much energy do I burn on micro tasks every day that have absolutely nothing to do with what would you call it? Movement, quality movement in a good direction that's harmonious. Like, how do we help our CEO get there?
Okay, perfect. So what I did was I created a few guided meditations incorporating basically like guided meditations, taking them through some journey. And 10, 15 minutes, they sit down in the morning, they do that. And a few exercises with the body, maybe 20, 30 burpees just to get the body started, a few glasses of water with some lemon juice. And that would be like the basic of just like up and running. Plus, I would add a little bit of journaling in there. Like, what are the 3 main things that you'd like to accomplish today? And that would keep the focus, like the main things. And yeah, I mean, that would be like the basic structure of like that morning routine.
So you block out, and that all sounds like what? You got verbal affirmations, which is quick, exercise, drinking some water, and journaling. An hour?
Tops. And the journaling takes me about 8 minutes now. I have very specific questions that I ask myself, and I have specific questions in the morning, in the evening, and throughout the day. I keep my journal on me. It just keeps me focused. It keeps me like on like the track.
Love it.
The meditation, and it doesn't even have to be like a meditation in the sense of sitting. You could do it standing. You could do it with your eyes open. It can be walking. It can be sitting. It can be laying down. It's up to you. And it's just like really focusing in on your breath. And there's a million different methods. This is what I've been studying for the last 8 years. And some of them work better for different people. And yeah.
What's a good avatar of the student who should be in Costa Rica?
The good avatar of the student that should be in Costa Rica is somebody that already considers themselves a high performer, but is hitting some sort of plateau of feeling overwhelmed, discontented. I don't even know if that's a word.
Are you
But
talking to my wife? Are you pulling out adjectives about me? Like, what's going on here? Like, all right. So, high performer, hit some walls.
hit some walls, looking to get to the next level, but not sure how, because he's been on the very specific track of like performing in that specific area of his life, whether it's making money or whether it's whatever. It's usually making money. And what I've been studying for the last 8 years is like movement, meditation, mindset, and all of those things. And what I noticed is they're all one in the same. Like you can't only work on one and not work on the other ones. And nutrition. Like that's what I started with, is like holistic nutrition. When my grandmother got sick with cancer, we had to learn how to help her in a more sustainable way. Because
would you call me a quick start?
I can definitely call you a quick start.
All right, cool. One of the things that I cannot do, and I don't know where it is, like when you said burpees, like I was like, oh, I gotta like exercise. Sweating is for like running from like a bear or like running from the police. Like I want to. I know in my mind I need to exercise. Like, what is a good thing you can help me with? Help me. Like it'll help other people.
Yeah.
What do I do to start? Is it yoga? Is it like, what is it? What gets my big butt doing something in the morning?
So if you close your eyes right now and you imagine yourself exercising, what is the exercise that you're doing?
Stretching.
Okay, that's a great way to start, right? Because once you start, it's like a slippery slope, almost like copywriting or almost like anything else. Because once you start stretching, if you put those 10, 15 minutes into that routine, you do that for a few months, it'll open up other doors where you're like, this is going pretty well. How about I try to add this little other thing? And it's like, it's just like starting a business. Imagine somebody told you, you're fresh, you're brand new out of the corporate world. And they're like, all right, you have to learn how to copyright. You have to learn how to do media buying. You have to learn how to do
all the things I do, right?
Yeah.
And what I would tell them is start digging a hole, 1 scoop a day. And when you're done, you will have a deep well that will be filled anytime you want it to be.
For sure. So here's a little trick, right? What I like to do. So if you close your eyes and you picture yourself doing burpees right now, right? It's like this weird feeling, right? But now check it out. If you close your eyes, right? Work with me. Just close your eyes.
Close.
Imagine yourself doing burpees, but look at your face. And when you're doing burpees, what does your face look like?
Anguish.
Okay, now change the facial expression to a smile on the inside and the outside, like right here and over there.
That actually changes the feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm tracking you.
So what you can do now is you can take like a hose or like a fire hydrant, and you can clean whatever darkness is around that area with the hose and the fire hydrant. And I know it's crazy, right? But like there's definitely some sort of stagnation that's going on inside of that image from whatever past experiences that happened. And you can actually clean that area, and it changes the whole feeling of that exercise.
Yeah, you know what I think it is? It's a compounding of things where I didn't eat well. My family, we eat really well now. And that's why I was able to drop most of my big old fat shell that was around me for so long.
And you look awesome, by the way.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. And, once you make this good looking thing look better, it can only get better, right? As thankfully, my wife is such a lucky woman. And so, but I think what it was is I must anchor some failure of start and stop and exercise in my yo-yoing of my weight. Like, oh, why am I doing this? It's just going to go back to a certain thing. I think that I must be lying to myself over and over and replaying that reel in my head because I like the idea. I like how I feel once some endorphins are produced and like the serotonin's up. Like all the things that, like my wife just worked out the other day and she's like, honey, I feel great. I'm like, I want some more of that. Like I'm like, and I have zero excuses except for like, ugh.
I mean, it's a lot of chemical reactions that are going on inside of your body when you think of exercise, and there's like a negative association with it, and things are getting like almost like anchored in. But you can change that. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to change that. Even that mental exercise in the morning while breathing, just imagining yourself, just even for the first 3 weeks, 2 weeks, just imagining yourself feeling good when exercising.
All right, dude, I'm doing this. I like that. Close my eyes, take the frown, flip it upside down, and make it a smiley face. Like I know these little things, right? So for me in my faith, I tell you all the time it's important, right? So set your what you think about on something above, something bigger, something better, right? For me, that's the hope. Set it there. Everything else starts to put itself into action is what you're telling me, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because like once we align our inner world, our outer world aligns with it. Because our outer world is just a reflection of what's going on inside.
Because I do all this other stuff. I do lemon water. I do journaling. I literally just don't exercise.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like stage one, right? We take it like at the retreat, we take it up a few notches so now check this out. So another thing that helps with exercise is like getting a few workout buddies, like people that you enjoy spending time with.
No one likes me.
I like you. If you came down to Costa Rica right now, we would exercise every day. And that's what we do at the retreat, right? Everybody wakes up at 6 o'clock or 6:30. They brush their teeth. They get to the huge hall, and we do a movement training together where we go through different movement exercises, and then we do some breath work or some meditation together. Then everybody hangs out. They share their experiences, and then everybody goes to shower, and then we eat together. That whole like structure of like ingraining those habits of doing things, not just that the exercise itself feels good, but it feels so good in the proximity of other people because we're always
tribe, right? That tribe. It just there's something about it, right?
It's so powerful. Like I mean, it's in our DNA, literally. Yeah. Like we only stopped being tribal beings 10,000 years ago, and like we're still programmed.
Well, we probably are still tribal, right? I mean,
for sure. We 100%.
I used to homeschool all of our children, and the thing that we could not replicate was where you fit within the tribe. Right? How did your herd run? And so we knew we knew we were diluting the quality of education. We knew one-on-one versus one-on-many was not going to be good on one-on-many. We gave up all those things so that my offspring could navigate where they fit within the tribe.
For sure.
Right?
I literally, right before we called, my brother-in-law was over and he has 4 kids. And they were staying with us for a week. My brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, and 4 kids in our house.
Nice.
And like, I seen that tribal structure, like the rank, like so our reptilian brain works one way, our mammalian brain works a different way. The mammalian brain's one of the primary structures.
My wife would say alien brain when she's stuck with me, but I get your point. Yeah.
But the mammalian brain figures out the structure of the rank in the tribe. So I seen it at work with 6 kids in my house where one of them was like the highest ranking, and then they were fighting for the next rank and then the next rank. And like, we just let them fight. Like they wanted to scrap, and we're like, all right, well, stop talking smack and like go do something about it.
Yeah.
And then they figured it out, and then they stopped fighting.
Nice.
In 7 days, we let them, and like you see it in people with dogs where people think their dogs are kids now, but dogs function as dogs.
They're dogs.
Like, if their two dogs start hanging out and they want to fight, like they have to figure out which one is alpha, which
dominant,
one is
right.
But like, it's unhealthy not to do that.
Right. And so I totally get that. So that's some of that experience is replicated there. So one of the tips we're giving to everybody is get people around you doing it with you. It gets intoxicating, right? You can do it together. There's accountability. There's these other things, right?
And the growth that happens, it's so hard to even, it's not linear, it's exponential, where people start leveling up and they start sharing their experiences, and you start hearing about people's experiences and you're like, oh my God, like I felt the same, like I felt something similar, or I wanted to feel something similar, but I was scared to even feel it. And in certain situations, it's like, it's so eye-opening to realize that you're not a unicorn and you're not that unique. But you are, right? Like you're in control of everything and you're in control of nothing. You are unique and you're absolutely not unique. So it's that paradox that as human beings, we're the only animal that can hold that paradox in their mind at the same time. And that's what's created everything, like that duality of paradox where, and you realize that like there is no truth except like what inside, like that feeling of like, wow, this feels so amazing. And like this other thing that I've been keeping in, this fear, this anxiety, this frustration, doesn't feel good.
Yeah, so for the way that translates to me, I always say we have a roommate, right? We have actually, and if you're filled with the spirit, you might have two roommates. You have one that like you never should be taking advice from, and the one that's always true, right? And where's the battle going on there? And the problem is most of us listen to the roommate we shouldn't be listening to inside of our head. It's the one that like, I remember my 7th grade part of my roommate when I was really immature and the girl wouldn't call fast enough, or my friend like went over and played at someone's house. I'd start doing all this. I let this roommate in my head tell me all these crazy things. Why is it any different than today, right? We take the craziest advice from things that just completely aren't true. So you're talking about getting simple, getting that the heck out of your head, right?
Yeah.
And just being present, being real.
Yeah, just getting out of your own way. Like,
yeah, I talk about quieting that roommate down, right?
Yeah, because, or kicking them out as much as.
Yeah, you know, the reality is you may or may not be. We're in a fallen world, right? Can you kick the roommate out? I don't know. It might be tough, but you certainly have ways to quiet them, right? Like I like the awaken the warrior within. Like that works. Like awaken that real, truthful warrior there to go beat the heck out of the one who doesn't deserve the voice to be heard, because there's triggers that are like, you're going to tell me there's triggers that happen to where that even that beaten up, you know, old roommate is going to show up under the right triggering events, a big loss in your life. Like my dad died this year and it triggered all kinds of 7th grade emotions in me, right? It didn't matter how well trained I was. Some of those are going to come up. It's not, do they come up? Your thing is about helping to deal with them, right?
Yeah. It's being grateful for them coming up.
I like that.
Our whole thing is to feel like we can feel.
Those are real, right? Those things happen.
Those things, it happened. Yes. Let's feel the pain. Let's be grateful for it. Let's learn from it and let's let it go.
All right. Can we stop right there? I think like, even though it might've taken me a bunch of rambling, we just got to this major nugget. Like we spend so much time trying to avoid the pain. You're saying, let it come through you, address it. It's real. Don't try to block it out, because that's where repression and bitterness and anger, let it come in.
And cancer and heart disease and inflammation, that's where it all comes from.
Address it. Don't repress it, right?
Yeah, like just be, and I have exercises. So I have guided meditations that like, there's a few people in our circle that you can talk to about them, but like 15 minutes in, I'll have like these super high level CEOs that are so high performers just sobbing. And they're like, I can't believe like I repressed that memory.
Wow. That's awesome. So what happens? Like if people, do you have a way where people can like get to know you a little more, or do they go right down to Costa Rica?
No, I mean, they can read my book. I'm actually relaunching my book, and I created, a few like basic level courses that go along in that funnel.
So you can catch them wherever they need to be at that moment of time, right? Cool. And the best way to find that is at romza.com?
Yeah, either my Facebook or romza.com.
Well, I'm going to force you to keep improving romza.com.
We'll definitely talk about that. I'm a practitioner, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
I literally do this like all day, every day. Like this is my life. When I talk about anything, like these are the kind of things that I don't talk about superficial shit. So like, it's very easy for me when people come to me for business advice and I'm like, oh yeah, you can optimize this and you could do this and you could do this. But like for myself, I'm like, I'm too busy for like doing that.
Which
like,
is why like you did a great job of like moving the executive team of your health supplement business to a working team. That wonderfully lovely wife of yours or whoever, and get some people working on the business part of Awaken. Because it's there. Sure. And you have an obligation, you have a duty to make it available to the people who need it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And by the way, I think the thing that I want to leave, because we're about to wind down here, I want to leave entrepreneurs with this. I love what you said. And I think this is like a spirit-led discussion about you have to embrace the pain. You don't avoid it. Like getting that message out, bud, I need to hear you speak more about that. People need to embrace the pain. And that's how you became this literally world-class, world champion jiu-jitsu guy, is you embrace the pain. You didn't avoid it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like pain is so good because it's the only way that we can grow. Like it's the fastest way to grow. Like I had my nephews over and they both train jiu-jitsu, and they were training with my students at our nonprofit over here. And one of them like got beat up by one of my students here, because my students train with me all the time here now. And he was upset. And I was like, why are you upset? Like, this is the only, like, I've never grown from a win. Like, I've never won a medal or a belt and been like, this is where I'm going to grow. I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm not going to do shit. Only when I got my butt handed to me was when I can go back on the tapes and I can literally grow from those things. Like,
you'll love this, Rome. I used to coach girls basketball and all that stuff, and I had this great team. We went 8-0 in the early part of the league, blew through everybody, won the thing. The next year, new team. Lucky if I could have a girl that could hit her foot when she's dribbling. Like, she'd have to work to aim for her foot. Couldn't do anything. We get killed in the first game. One of the dads comes up to me and goes, now you really get a chance to coach.
Yeah. The
he was like
only starts when they say no.
Spot on. It was like, I didn't have to coach the gladiator team. I just had to sit there and be a fan. Like, I had to literally coach and help these girls like endure and work through the pain. All right, Rome, what's a message you want to leave with everyone today?
Use the pain as personal development and spiritual development. Embrace it, love it, be grateful for it, because that specific pain, if you learn from it, will only come around once. If you don't,
it's so great you're saying that, dude. Like, I'm working through the pain, the grief, let's call it grief, of my loss of my dad and his mother 11 days later. I'm only 90 days into that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm living through that pain. There was choices, and I followed some of your advice and some other advice was work through it. It's a process. Don't avoid it. And so continue that. You were saying, like, work through the pain.
Like, if you don't work through it, it's going to keep happening, and you're going to be progressively getting worse at dealing with it. You work through it. Take out silent time for yourself every single day, extended amounts every single month, and just like sit there with your thoughts and work through it. Because if you don't accept and you don't transcend the grief and the pain, it's just going to keep destroying you. And like, pain, 100% is going to happen, but suffering, that's 100% optional. And that suffering comes from the craving of holding on to the joy and the fear of like the pain coming in.
Gotcha. All right, Rome, we're winding down. Hey, I want to thank you for being on the show. Everybody, listen, if you didn't hear earlier, it's in our comments here. You can go find it. Go check him out on Facebook. He's Rome Za, Z-A. You can also find him at romeza.com. Awaken. It's the Awake the Warrior Within. And we're going to come up with some logos and some fun stuff. But what it is at its very core, basic level, is a retreat and a whole methodology of literally of taking the value that's built within you and removing all this other junk and being that guy. And so, Rome, love having you today, bro.
Thank you, brother. I love you, Vinny.